Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sandra Schaefer. I'm the president of the Democratic Women Club of Greater Broward. I have the opportunity today to talk about race and the races. I have Narnike Pierre-Grant, that's a community activist. She's a candidate, former candidate for Broward County School Board Seat 9. I'm here with Monalisa Weber, another community activist, and she's the executive director, I believe, of Probation Station. Is that correct, Monalisa?
Founder, creator, yes.
Okay, and they'll introduce themselves better, but I just want to let you know who we're talking to today, because you guys are used to just seeing me. But this is the things we're talking about today. This need to be a group effort. We needed to organize the troops to talk about this. And I have Jen Perelman. She's an attorney, community activist, and I think she's also going to be working with Probation Station, and she was a candidate for District 23?
23.
Yeah, U.S. House C 23. And so yeah, we're gonna talk again. Sandra Schaefer, President of Democratic Women's Club of Greater Broward. I'm gonna have the ladies introduce themselves first to you in more detail, and then we're gonna talk about race and the races today.
Woo, so do I start? You want me to start?
I see you, Narnike, so let's start with you.
All right, so like Sandra said, my name is Narnike Grant. I am a former candidate for the school board at-large seat that happened back in August. I was running mates with Jen Perelman, and we all had a great time doing that. Now we're here talking about what's going on with the races currently, and which are still important to us because down ballot candidates still count. And wanted to have a discussion and bring something forward so we all can be more informed as we move forward through this election season, but also looking long-term, not just short-term.
All right, who's to the next? Who got next?
I'll go next.
Go, Mo.
Hello, beautiful people. My name is Monalisa Weber. I'm the creator of Probation Station. I'm a community activist. I work on assisting people, criminal justice reform, I guess that's the word now. And I'm a former probation officer, so I created Probation Station, which is a curriculum or kind of like a guide to help people understand the system of probation. And also I do community work around specific communities. We feed the kids, mentor the incarcerated youth, and just a whole bunch of stuff where we are looking for transformative change. We're tired of excuses, and we got to do it. So I'm one of those soldiers that however long it takes, I'm gonna get it done. So thank you so much for having me. I appreciate all of you ladies. And go ahead, Miss Perelman.
So I am Jen. I apparently am the token white person here today, which is good.
No tokens.
It's always my honor. I love that. But so, yeah, I am an attorney. I started out doing criminal defense out of law school. I really liked it very much, and I just haven't had a chance to really get back into it. So I'm really excited to be starting this work with Probation Station. We're going to be helping people coming off of probation and getting modifications. But I am a recent candidate for U.S. Congress and have spent the past almost 2 years engulfed in the political system of Broward County and sort of understanding this process. So I'm interested to talk to, and I love working with you guys. Like this is where real things get done. This is where it's all happening right here.
Yeah, definitely. And I actually met Jen last year at the Democratic Women's Club, their convention in Orlando. It was the first time that I met Jen.
Did you remember how mean that lady was to me? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was some ladies from the villages. I'm not gonna talk about.
Oh yeah. And I go up to them and I say, "Hi, I'm Jen. I'm running for Congress." And they're like, "Oh, that's great! Like, where did it?" And I'm like, District 23, and they're like, "That's Debbie's seat." Like they got so mean, like it was crazy. And Sandra was sitting there, sort of in between these old ladies, bitty white ladies, and she's just sitting there and she's looking at me and it's like,
I'm not a dream killer, you know what I'm saying? So if you say you want to do something, I'm like, yo, let's do it. What we got to do? I don't kill nobody dreams. Just tell me what you
ladies were mean.
Listen.
Yeah.
All right. So we're talking about, I think there's 3 things that we want to try to discuss and try to get through, and then provide resources and direction on where people can go. And hopefully this will be one of many. for a platform for us to have a conversation. So the things that Sandra and I were talking about and how we got to get Monalisa and Jen to participate were, I was having a rough day yesterday.
He was raging on Facebook, y'all.
I was like angry yesterday. And one of the things that Sandra does, she's really good at picking up on people's vibes and how they feel. And so she called and she's like, all right, sis, vent. Tell me what you need to do. You need to talk about it. Tell me what you need to talk about it. So as you all know, we are all very upset with the Kentucky AG and the decision on how they approached Breonna Taylor's case. I was extremely, extremely upset because while Breonna's case was, Breonna's been gone about a year, is it? I think.
No, it was March 13, 2020.
Yes, earlier this year, yeah.
Earlier this year,
2020.
okay. While she was, yeah, so, and I guess the context of what's going on is Breonna's case came about, then we had George Floyd, then we had people previous to Breonna. So Black people have just been feeling very, very, if there's a word worse than angry in the dictionary, and maybe I don't know it, but
Enraged.
Incensed.
Incense is good. Incense is good. And so that 30 minutes of my time that I can't get back watching that press conference for him to just give a lot of fluff and to say that we're not charged, we're gonna just charge him for a bullet that went through her house into somebody else's house, had me so infuriated. I couldn't even see straight. And I couldn't articulate how upset I was. So I did a series of posts on Facebook. I think Sandra and I talked about it a little bit, but the more it rests, the more it got worse for me. And so we talked about it, and I said, you know what, this is something that we should talk about freely and invite people who can help us maneuver ourselves through that and then find a way to use this specific case as an impetus to make change. So we discussed it. Sandra mentioned Monalisa and Jennifer. I said, those are great people. Let's see if they'll get on board to have a conversation. And here we are. So we're going to talk about the Kentucky thing. We're also going to talk about the executive order the president instituted to, what was the name of it again?
Rid of like critical race theory and, diversity training in the workplace.
Right. Which was extended to, which was extended to now which was extended to contracts that any company, any entity that has a contract with the federal government. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is these local races coming up and trying to switch them over to blue. So the
local Florida, we're going to talk about some Florida House seats, Florida Senate seats, because and what brought that about was the governor. He had some press conference a couple of days ago. I don't know what day it was because we're stuck in the house, so we don't know what day it is anymore. And he was talking about he had the sheriff of Polk County, the speaker of the House, the president of the Senate. Yes, we're gonna these protesters, we're gonna make it felonies and all of this stuff. And
let's call it what it was. It was a police rally. That's what that.
I was just like, wait. First of all, I was like, is that the law? I was like, I don't remember that being the law yet, right? And I was like, and I don't remember the governor could just say he wants something to be a law and it becomes a law. So I'm like, well, how does this make sense? So I met a lot of people during the campaign season. I called a couple of people I know. I'm like, yo, did y'all vote on this last year and this year and I missed it? They was like, no one voted on it. But what we need to do, we're always thinking of and I'm like, it's unconstitutional. But that when we're talking about whether or not it's unconstitutional, we're fighting too late, right? We can fight now, and voting blue is how we fight now, because we can't have them have a supermajority in the House. We need to get to Senate. I think we can get to Senate to about 19, 21. That's going to be good enough. And we need to get all the seats blue that we can get right now. And we need to let the red seats know that people are coming for you in 2022. Okay, if you let this foolishness pass, because it's going to end up in litigation. But why we even need to get up in this sauce and let this happen, right? So I'm gonna get off my high horse and let Monalisa and Jen talk about So let's start breaking it down. Let's talk about Breonna Taylor's, since that's really what had us all in our feelings this week, you know. And so I'm just getting Monalisa, go ahead, tell us what your thought on that is, like how you know, what's your reaction, how you felt about that, and then we'll let Jen speak, and then we'll move it into all of this. Really what we need to do is make sure we have the right people in office so we don't have these kind of things happen, right? Like that guy shouldn't have been voted in, you know, and the people need to know, like, if you put this guy in, these are the kind of results that you're going to get, and we need to make that not happen. We can't have that. We just can't have that. All right, Monalisa.
all good. So I mean, pretty much locally, everyone kind of knows, or most people know the work that I do, right? Or my former experience with the criminal justice system. So I am desensitized. I don't really get any type of emotions. I kind of just know what's going to happen, and then I just like sit back and look at everybody else go crazy, and then all I think about is like, okay, if we were to really understand what was going on and we understood these laws and we educated, I just feel that education is key. So, of course, I was bothered. Of course, you know, Black women are undervalued, underappreciated. Like we fight so much in the front lines, and it's just at the end of the day, like sometimes I get like we're seeking justice off the same people that are oppressing us. So it's like, it just doesn't make any logical sense to me personally. So I just kind of just stay in my own cubbyhole and work on what I need to work on. You see what I'm saying? Like education, teaching the people, because in order for us to get to that next level of voting people in and, you know, having 500,000 people come to Tallahassee with us in March, right? Because that's what we need. Like we need a huge presence. It's like, I just kind of do what I do. I get constant phone calls. You know, I do advocate on calming people down and give them strategies. And, you know, like we have to create what we want to see in order to move forward. Not saying that I don't have hope in the system. I just feel that something happens, then we become complacent, and then we get pissed off again when it happens again. And therefore we're not moving consistently and strategically. So when I see how people move, I don't get worked up anymore. You feel me? Because the type of work that I do, and I'm speaking from my perspective, it's too burdensome. You feel me? It's too much. And I'm seeing the whole world just react instead of preventative education. And then it's even worse for me because I know how the system works because I was in it. You feel me? So now I'm sitting here and I'm looking at everyone and I'm just like, man, if we could just get everyone together to understand the legislative process, to understand local voting and state voting, we could handle a lot of this stuff sooner than later.
Absolutely.
You feel me? But that's going to take leaders and people on the ground to do the work. And I just don't feel that people are ready for that particular type of work. I only say that because I've been on the ground for over 6 years, and I hear it every day. Voting for what? What you mean? I ain't doing that. That's crazy. I ain't voting.
Right.
It can't just be me and Narnike or Jen in one corner, or you, Miss Sandra, in one corner. It got to be a slew of people to be like, look, this is what we need to do.
Right. This is what we need to do. And you know, and as unfortunate as this situation is, a lot of times this is what it takes, right? It really takes some stuff like this, because I'm telling you, so when George Floyd happened, right? When George Floyd happened, all of a sudden, you know, I mean, I had friends who was getting Juneteenth off, right? Like most people didn't even know what Juneteenth was before George Floyd happened, right? Like, no, they didn't even know. And I had a post from like 10 years ago talking about Juneteenth. And I had to say, listen, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this, right? But everybody was talking about Juneteenth after George Floyd, right? So I think we're in a space right now where people are like, dang, we kind of heard y'all saying it, but we ain't really see it. And now that we see it, we can't ignore it. Because I was also getting emails from all of these companies, Black Lives Matter, here's our statement. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't boycott us, right? And even my DoorDash app, like, don't do this. A DoorDash app was like, here's the list of Black-owned restaurants that you can order from, and we have like free delivery, right?
And that too, child.
So I know it's hard, Monalisa, and I know it's hard, and you see it from that side. But I'm telling you, like, this is the time, you know, like all that work, because you put in the work. Don't you know you're doing a lot. That education, what you're doing, you're putting in the work. Everybody have their lane, right? Like we all have lanes, and you're in your lane, and you're putting in your work, and your work is paying off. It's paying off, right? We don't get to see it all at once. It's paying off. But I also think that this is a really good space that we're in. That, you know, some of them people who's like, you know what, my vote don't count. The people who didn't go to vote in Kentucky, they're seeing how, like, they're not voting. They're seeing the consequence of them not voting.
Right.
So these are the kind of things that happen when Democrats don't vote, is that you get a dude like this in office, you know, that makes a decision that is so outrageous because he's, you know, making whoever happy. You know what I mean? The Orange 45 or whoever.
There was no decision made.
Right,
he had
other people happy and not doing what's the right thing. But let's get in, and so she could talk about her, you know, what her thoughts were, all of what's happening, what it is that we need to do to, you know, we got to move this stuff forward, and we got to take advantage of this momentum that we're in right now.
Yeah, I kind of feel like my part in this, and I listened to Mo talk about, like, you know, being an on the ground person and acting locally, and that stuff is so incredibly important. And then I feel like my part in this is sort of seeing what the bigger strategy is in terms of politically how we need to maneuver and who needs to be where in order for these kinds of things to not keep happening. And one of the key elements that we're dealing with here is a collective bargaining situation with police unions. So what we have is whether it's the Fraternal Order of Police or the Police Benevolence Association, and we have representatives that take a lot of money from those organizations. So it's like corporate, but it's police corporate, essentially, right, what we're dealing with. So this is where I can see this and look at, okay, this is why these things are happening. We need to get rid of qualified immunity. We're never going to be able to get rid of qualified immunity so long as we have representatives that take money from police unions. That's not going to happen.
Can you explain qualified immunity?
Yeah, I can. 1 second. I'm having a dog situation. Okay. Yeah, so qualified immunity is something that allows for police officers to be protected from being sued for their wrongdoing. Okay, they can be civilly for wrongdoing. So let's say the officers, for example, let's say we're not getting a criminal charge against the officers in Breonna Taylor's case, right? But what if the family were able to file a wrongful death claim and be able to go after the officers personally and or their pension?
Personally,
okay?
Yes.
So when their money is at stake and they're accountable, that changes things. It just does. And that's also a big part. And you know that my belief is that a huge part of our problem is that corrections in general is a for-profit industry, from policing all the way up to probation. It's a profit machine. And this is really no different. And in order to make the change, you need to get the money from the police unions out of our representatives. Like that's the gist of it.
Right.
And I come at it from a more like politically strategic mindset.
Yeah, and that's important because you know, I think the DA in Louisville is a Democrat, but he did get a lot of police money, right? And he conflicted himself out of the case, and that's how it ended up in the AG's office, because he was trying to prosecute. He said, well, since I'm going to prosecute her boyfriend, then, you know, I can't be part of this case, and he conflicted himself out, and that's how it ended up with the AG's office, right? So we need to know about who it is that we're electing and we're putting in.
I can tell you, our representative, like Debbie, my opponent, she is the second highest recipient of police PAC money in Congress of the Democrats. You've got Steny Hoyer and then her. And so when you've got people like that, they're never going to allow you to have a qualified immunity bill. They're not going to let that happen. They're going to protect their donors.
But remember, like, you know, they're there to like do the will of the people, right? So we need to hold them accountable. So if you want to go get those people money, that's going to be on you, but you still need to make sure you're doing what it is that the people sent you there to do. So, and that's why we have a voice, and we need to use it, right? A lot of people have voice. You know, you're a voter, you have a huge voice. You're the one that got them that job. So you got to let them know what it is that you want, and you have to make noise. And this is the perfect time for us to make noise, and we have to make that noise, right? You know, we really we have to make that noise. And so, yeah, so the Breonna Taylor, it took me a different way. Like, I'm an attorney too. And so I kind of knew what was going to happen, you know, and I was a public defender for a long time. I still do a lot of defense work. So I had an idea what was going to happen. But I'm one of those people that I can never be okay with somebody dying for no reason, right? And I can never be okay with somebody in their house losing their life. Like, I'm just like, you know, like, your home should be your place of peace. Like, if there's any place you should ever feel safe, it should be in your house. So I can't be okay with that. So I was literally like in my feelings about how this whole thing went down. And it got to a point where I have a friend of mine, I told her, we can't talk about this anymore, right? Because, you know, they were trying to give that police perspective and what the people gonna do and all this stuff and what was gonna happen with the grand jury. I was like, you know what? We can't talk about this no more. Like, we just can't have this conversation. I understand that that's probably what the outcome is going to be, but I can't never be like, okay with like, yeah, I understand that's what's going to happen. So, you know, why do anything, right? So there are things that we can do. So one of the things that we're talking about, you know, Jen talked about the opponent that she had that most likely is going to, you know, be our rep in November. But they're and then we also, well, that I'll wait until we get into the next conversation about Desantis, because what I'm talking about is really more Florida than like a whole general thing. So Narnike, again, you know, a lot of this really started with you yesterday, and we're like, Monalisa's in probation, Jen and I defense attorneys. You're like a mom, you know what I mean? You bring a whole different perspective to this whole thing. And so, you know, just let us, you know, go ahead, tell us what you're thinking about that, and then we're going to transition into the other things we're going to talk about today.
Coming from a civilian's perspective, and feeling helpless because, you know, while, you know, Monalisa's in probation, Jennifer is an attorney, Sandra's an attorney, and they have the wherewithal to kind of like digest this information and kind of make sense out of nonsense. But the regular civilian, a mom like me who has a daughter, who is literally a month.
We have 4 daughters.
4 daughters and a son. And my daughter is literally a month older than Breonna was when she passed, right? So that hit close to home. And her birthday passed, Breonna's birthday passed, and she became 27, and my daughter was 27. And so you feel so helpless. But, you know, I've done a lot of volunteer work. I've done a lot of advocacy for students, for kids in school, especially. And I realized that that's not enough. I realized that, you know, I have to be strategic, as Jennifer said, when you're going around in a system that is set up to keep Black people at a level where they're having to always have to ask, or even ask permission to just be. And it's very frustrating. It's frustrating to be in a position where you always have to ask for crumbs. You're not even asking for the whole cake. You're asking for crumbs just to live. And so it becomes very frustrating. And so what I've done and what I would like for us to do is provide resources and avenues that people can use instead of us just you know, honing in on that frustration and sitting and wallowing in sadness. We should take this opportunity to learn and be very strategic and deliberate on how we do things. One of the things that I spoke to my husband about, and I mentioned to Sandra, and I know that I've talked to Monalisa about it and Jen, is economic protest. It's not enough for us to just be out there protesting, but economically, Black people spend the most money. We spend billions while other races funnel their money through their race 20 times before it goes out of their race. So for us, Black people will get $7 and we'll spend the $7, while our Asian brothers and sisters will get that $7 and it will flow through their entire community 2 times over, and then it goes out of their community. And that's what you call wealth, generational wealth, and prosperity within that race, right? And so we want to be able to provide resources and talk to Black communities about economic protest, right? I know that we don't have that much in terms of businesses and big conglomerates.
One second. MyBlackPantry.com.
Oh, no. We're
Starek
going to that. And I'm glad you brought that up, sis. I'm glad you brought that up because Sandra and I talked about a list of different places that we can go to in order to spend Black dollars, right? So that's one. And I need you to say that one more time, sis. So
that's MyBlackPantry.com. That's Starek Smith. He's also the Hungry Black Man. Like, he just did the whole thing, and it's online. It's different vendors from around the country, and there's a whole list of stuff. And
absolutely.
MyBlackPantry.com.
So there's and we have I know Sandra spoke to I believe there's a commissioner. His wife is the head of the Black.
Yeah, so we have Buy Black Broward. We have Buy Black Broward, and she's also the president of the Black Broward Chamber of Commerce. Shahiwa Jela, and she don't even know I'm giving her this shout out, but there are definitely a lot of resources out there. She has a Facebook page that's called Buy Black Broward, and she has a resource guide, and she's also the president of the Black Broward Chamber of Commerce. And I know that she's doing some good work right now. She's helping businesses there's a nonprofit organization that had donated a whole bunch of money for people to get grants, and you can get a grant up to like $10,000. Because of COVID, a lot of businesses are having a lot of issues. So she's helping out with those applications. She's been, shouting out her successes, and people have been able to get, money from this grant to kind of just carry them over, Narnike says something about Black people and they $7. Half the time when we get our checks, that thing's spent, right? So some of it is not like because we want to,
we deserve it.
We have the same gig and we're getting paid less. You know what I'm saying? Like, we try to go into places and we're spending more on stuff. Like, I know a lot of different kind of people in my life.
I think a lot of that's education as well. I think
so a lot education, but some of it is just the way the community is set up, right? Because I know someone who father owned a corner store, right? The stuff in the corner store, he literally bought it from Walmart, stocked it in the corner store, and was still able to make money because he charged so much for it, right? Because then people have issues of like, can they really go into the big supermarket and buy stuff? You're buying stuff out of convenience. So a lot of times we're spending that money, but we're in situations where it's hard to get out, right?
They're a captive audience.
They're in food deserts. In food deserts.
I wanted to say
go ahead,
something,
Monalisa.
Narnike, a lot during my campaign, and I think I even forwarded you a couple of businesses, but I do small business canvassing on Saturdays. We're actually starting that up again. And so whenever I come across a business owner, when it's a Black family or whatever it is, I want to be able to connect it with whatever those other resources are, because obviously it doesn't happen that often. So it's, but when it does, I think it's really important. I found the dry cleaner, that guy on Sterling, and he was adorable. Oh God, what was his name?
So there is a Facebook page that has over 22,000 members on it, and it's called Black
owned businesses.
Broward County Black owned businesses.
Yeah.
Broward County Black owned businesses.
So can I post on there? Like, can I put? Okay.
Yeah, Broward County.
They're on Instagram too, and I think they're Broward BOB on Instagram.
Right, and then you also mentioned, Sandra, one with that Felicia made.
So she has this. There's another Facebook page called Eat Bro, EATBRO, and it has all the Black owned restaurants, right? So you can go in there. They have they have like a list of the Black owned restaurants. People have tried the food. They tell you about it. Folks who own the restaurants post on there. So there's also Eat Bro on Facebook that, if you want to support a Black eatery, you can get some information and get some suggestions from there too.
So the goal is to make sure that Black people understand that you have options, right? And your options is spent if you spend with your own, okay? And not that we're trying to say what's out there is not good, but we need to build up the Black community and put it in a position of more power than we are now, because we do have power. And our power is economics, right? We consume the most, we spend the most. And we just need to learn how to curtail that and make it work for us, right?
And I think what the real point is being made here is that we really do need to reinvest in the community, right? We need to reinvest in the community in order for us to, bring others up, right? If we got, we're getting successful, hopefully, somebody will bring another person up. I was listening to something the other day, and a young man was talking about how he started this business, right? And then it was something going on with the business, and he needed $38,000. And he was like, he went and asked his dad for $38,000 to get out of the situation, right? The dad had $38,000 to get him out. A lot of us don't have those, we don't have a dad or somebody we can go and add for $38,000 for us to make something successful, right? And then he ran into a situation where he had this huge opportunity where he needed $13,000 for him to make for this huge opportunity to happen. And it was an opportunity that could have potentially made millions, but he needed $13,000. He went, had some neighbors, asked his neighbors, they gave him a loan. He had to pay it back with some high interest rate or whatever, but at least he had someone that was able to do that. And then that pushed him into a whole different type of business space. I think it's important that we reinvest in our community so we can have people that might be in financial situations that if we have some brilliant idea that we'll be able to, do that. They can partner up with us or, give us, information on things that we can do, like help you get grant money or help you get a short-term loan or something like that in order for us to build that community up. And those are the kind of things we need to do. Go ahead.
The concept of reparations is a trust, and it's sort of like that's what it would be, is a giant endowment that would be for people that have a plan to get that kind of backing, to get those kinds of investments in those communities.
Yeah. And that's a big thing. We have some people in the chat that's that's saying that we got to stop talking. We need some action steps, but we have action steps, right? We're going to tell the people what it is that we need to do. But there was one other issue that we wanted to talk about first, and they also saying that commerce is important, and we realize that because that's why those businesses were sending us emails that they have a Black Lives Matter statement because they didn't want Black people to boycott them, right? Like they just didn't want that to happen. Nike came out with it, all of that. They didn't want these things to happen. So we understand that it's commerce, and it seemed like money is really, the way to get people to pay attention. So people of color understand that. But we have another superpower, as Narnike calls it. Our superpower is our vote, right? Because especially with Black women, I know Jen's on here, but we like
Jen, you need to tell your white counterparts that they need to, they need to get on board.
They need to hear this, right?
And the thing is, statistically, my counterparts do vote. Where that's the demographic.
No, they do vote, but they be voting for the wrong person.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, misunderstood. No accounting for taste. So, yeah.
Okay, so our supervisor is voting. Sorry to cut you off, Sandra.
No, go ahead. No, it's definitely voting.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, the flyer said frank conversation, so we just gonna be real, okay? Yeah. Let's just be real about it. Stop, all this playing and carrying on, and I'm cleaning it up, but Monalisa know how I could go. So I'm just gonna be real about it. Yeah, we need action and whatever. And those who are making comments in the chat,
they're not saying that we're not doing anything. I'm with them. We people when I know some of the candidates, and I don't mean to cut you, but I remember some of the candidates when they were answering questions and they were talking about we're gonna have a conversation. I didn't want to hear that. If you said you needed to have a conversation, to me, you weren't ready day one. I was like, I'm not voting.
You know what you should say to them? You should say, we had that conversation about, I don't know how many years ago, you must have missed it. Sorry, no time to catch you up. Move on.
Exactly. So I understand this person say, no, what's the plan, right? Because I'm telling you, as soon as they said it, well, we can have a conversation. I was like, oh, what? Oh, no, you're not ready. You're not ready.
So the plan is, if you're not registered to vote, you have up until October 5th to register to vote, right? Okay, and the other plan is that we're not trying to mail nothing out to vote. You need to do early voting. That is a must, right? Because if you have an issue with your early voting, at least you can check it and fix it. But if you don't do early voting and you want to go the day of, it is what it is that day, right?
Where are you? Where are the sites posted? It's SOE. I mean, because there's
BrowardSOE.org. BrowardSOE.org.
Right.
Early voting site.
And that foolishness about your vote don't matter, your vote don't count. Let me tell you something. If there's a slew of people voting overwhelmingly, right? There's no way they can cheat and steal the election. When there's too much, there's nothing they can do about it, right? But when there's too little, and that's what they're banking on, they can finagle it anytime they want to.
And
that's what they plan on. That's their goal, is voter suppression so that they can manipulate the results. That's how it works.
Okay.
It is what it is.
All right. And so Broward County, we were in recounts in 2018. We were just in a recount for the SOE position, like during the primaries. So every vote does count. These votes came down to like decimal point percentages, right? So every vote does count. So the person who's saying that, it's not true, because we literally had 3 recounts, I think, in 2018, and we just had the SOE position in a recount. All right.
What's happening?
What's happening, Mona? What's going on? You touching your head?
I need Monalisa to tell me what she's thinking right now.
All right, Mo.
Come on, Monalisa.
Okay.
Be frank, because this is a frank conversation.
Okay, so like it just I get all bent out of shape. So
we need to hear it. We need to hear it.
Okay, let me explain. Listen, and I'm gonna be very real with y'all. Ain't nobody could tell me 5 years ago, even 4 years ago, about voting, dog, straight up. You can't talk to me about voting. The way that I learned the importance of voting, and this is what I try to tell people
between the school district and
we can hear you. We need you to mute that, Narnike.
Sorry. I'm trying to take this off and it just jumped on it. Sorry. Can you hear me now better?
We didn't want to hear, because Monalisa was talking. We want to hear what she got to say.
Yes,
so this is the thing, right? And I'm coming from a different side of town. You feel me? So I'm coming into these spaces simply because I'm doing community work. I'm doing what God told me to do. Straight up. I'm not concerned about politics. I've never really been, I'm just like, whatever. But then I started to see stuff and started like realizing like the actual power, right? But it took an organization to sit me down in all type of trainings. It took people sitting in my face, showing me. It took me to go to Tallahassee 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times to understand legislation. It took me like cussing people out. It took me, you feel me? Don't come in my face. Don't tell me to vote for nobody. Like it took it, and even till today, I'm still like, all right, cool, I get it. But like, why is so much focus on the presidential when the commissioner's right down the street and we ain't doing nothing about it?
That's right.
Why our people are hungry in food deserts when we can learn how to grow food? You feel me? It's just to me, it's just too much going on. Politicians come through on election year, we ain't even trying to hear that. Let me tell you something, where we do work, we throw everybody out. Straight up. You ain't coming up in this hood, talk about this and this and this and that, because we haven't seen you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the strategies, I don't know, y'all correct me, I don't know if the Democratic strategies, the nonpartisan strategy, like all this other strategy, like all that got to change. When we be doing these lives, we talking to the same people. Ain't nobody going in the hoods, in the trenches. Why? Because they afraid, because there's gunshots, there's bullets, there's this, like, until we get to the people that we need to reach, and they not gonna be on social media, you feel me? Because they as paranoid as the rest of us. Like, we're gonna continue to have these conversations. I cannot tell you how many politicians I done talked to, how many people I done talked to, how many people I go around. Like, nobody, and then we have a division between Black folks. You understand what I'm talking about? The uppity ones in politics, they don't wanna deal with the hood people, you feel me? I'm too much of a problem. I'm problematic because I wanna speak my voice, because I don't speak as proper as you do, because blah, 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 blah. Like, so we have all these different political clique divisions. We got people that think that they better than everybody else. You feel me? And when you be in their face telling them the truth, they don't wanna deal with you. So it's deeper than, you could tell people all day they voting. Like, you could tell everybody go to vote, and it's gonna be the same super voters voting. Because there's not, people is not going in the trenches, man. People is not hitting these young folks. Why? Because, man, them young folks too wild. They don't know what you judging the same people that are a reflection of us as adults. You feel me? So you judging the kids that are learning from the adults. So people need to look at themselves, look at their own reflection. You see what I'm saying? And really, like, are you feeding your kids on your block, dog? Like, How are you supposed to get people to get involved politically when they hungry, when they this, when they that, when they this, and then you want to judge them on top of that? Like, it just like, I get all this like, because I'm out here and I be speaking, and one brother was like, man, voting for what? Sisters, what? Voting? Like,
so let me jump in real quick, Monalisa, and that is
I get really like,
I know we've had this conversation. We've had this conversation, and one of the things that I spoke to you about, if you remember, I said, okay, the local people, your local commissioners, your mayors, your city commissioners, right? Those are the people that make decisions on your everyday life, right? And so if the conversation needs to be had in the hood, right? The very same cities or whatever, it has to be broken that way to them, right? So you say, hey, listen, you know what? We ain't talking about the governor right now, but let's talk about this mayor in Hallandale, Hollywood, whatever, right? And say, he's your mayor. These 6 people are the commissioners. These are the ones and then bring it to them. You see how Sarika Peterson was doing her thing? And Sarika's another great sister who's out there in the trenches. She just had a baby. Congratulations, Sarika, if you see this. But this sister was bringing information to the hood. Like, these are your people. These are your commissioners. This is what they voted on. But the information has to be broken down in a way that they understand it, right? And people like you, and there's not enough of you to go around, right? And so that's the conversation. This is what we're trying to do. These are the action plans that we have to have. That we have to kind of go through and get done with. Because at the end of the day, Monalisa's right, 100% right. They don't want to hear about that.
Listen, 24% of voters came out, man. What we doing?
Yeah, we got to do better. So let me tell you what we're doing. So one of the reasons why I got involved with this club, right? Because part of it was like, I always used to be like one of the attorneys doing like voter protection or whatever. And I remember like while I was I was in Lauderdale or Lauderdale Lakes, one of them area, and this lady came in there and she only voted for like the president. She voted for, it was during the midterm. So she voted for the senator, the governor, and like, I think she did ag and maybe 2 other posts and left. I was like, but what about, the local races and all that other stuff? She said, no, I ain't come here to do that. And I was just like, are you people kidding me? So one of the things that I definitely do, and I think is important, is that we need to talk to these down ballot candidates, and we need to let the people know how important it is, right? Yes, what's happening in Washington, yeah, that kind of affects your life, but that person that you voted for the city council, that person that you gave that commission seat to, that person that you allowed to be a strong mayor in your city, those are the people that's making decisions about your life every day. There's a person that's in the group right now, that's on right now, that I spoke to earlier today, and they were talking about how when they bought their house, their street was closed off. Next thing you know, they opened up the street, and now they got to deal with all this traffic, right? And then when they went to the commission to go talk about it, they was like, we voted on that already, right? You too late, right? And I'm like, that's the kind of things. It's like people think they worried about what's happening in DC. No. You need those commissioners. They're making decisions about what's happening in your life right now. So this person bought their house thinking that it was going to be the last house. The street was going to block off. All of a sudden, they opened up a street and they got traffic and all kind of nonsense. So this is why I'm interview and I speak to any down ballot candidate that wants to talk to me. When they come and talk to me, we promote their videos, right? And when I talk to them, I tell them that they need to find a way to get to the people. There was a lot of things I had planned on doing this year, but coronavirus came and it just kind of shut all that down, right? So we're relegated. It didn't shut it all the way down. It kind of shut it down because I know y'all be going out there to work, but I'm gonna just let y'all know.
It does make it really hard.
It makes it difficult. I'm not gonna lie. It makes it difficult. Like I don't have people in my family with corona. I got all kind of pre-existing conditions. I got an old mama. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of things where I'm like, I want to do this work, but that, everybody have their lane. So
what's the best way, Mo? What's the best way to really get out to people? Especially now that we are in this COVID thing. I mean,
serving. You have to serve. You have to serve, and you have to treat them well. You have to treat them with love until they open up and are receptive to you.
We're getting the information to them. I'm telling you. So like, and I had people who's like, yo, I saw this conversation that you had with this person, and my kids be watching YouTube videos all the night. Every now and then something I did pops up. So even though they're probably not on Facebook like this, but we have a YouTube channel. So not only is the video in on Facebook. We also post it to the YouTube channel. So if they're on YouTube, everybody got a phone with a YouTube app, they can see this, and we let them know how important it is for them to vote for the people that's dealing with their everyday life, right? And my whole thing this year was like, I gotta let people know how important it is to vote for those down ballot candidates. They're the ones that's making that decision on your day-to-day, and it's extremely important.
But I think the driving force we need to do is reach the people that we have a hard time reaching, right? Those people who say, I ain't got time to vote, what is that gonna do for me? They need to understand that these down ballot candidates make decisions on their everyday life. And when I say break it down about the water they're using, the company that they're using for the water, the people they use in the city, all of those things affects them. It affects where they live. Most of the time they spend most of their time at home or at work, transportation. All of this is made, these decisions are made by your county commissioners, right? And so, or cities in the way. So we have to explain that to them and make it relevant, so it can be relevant where they understand that. While some people are on Facebook, most of them are not. Some of them are on YouTube or whatever, but the goal is to find a way. Now we're in COVID, it's very difficult for us to do that, but you know, y'all's governor's opening up the state anyway.
Girl, we'll talk about him next.
Okay, but there, we have to find a way. So Monalisa, one of the things you mentioned was talking to them with love, opening up and stuff. But so what I'm hearing is consistency.
Consistency. And another thing is too, like mentoring people from the community to run for office, because let's be clear, most of these people in office don't even like the people that they serve. So, you know, like you know, I get really like bent out of shape because it's too much fluff for me personally. That's why I just stick in my corner, because transformational change, you got to be radical, you got to be revolutionary. And like I said, like tomorrow morning, you feel me? I'm in the trenches cooking pancakes and feeding the kids and their families. If people ain't willing to do stuff like that, I was up till 3 in the morning last night, and it's not no bother to me. I love it. I enjoy it. As soon as I get off this call, I'm going to buy my fruits, and it's something that helps me. It you know, like it got to be in your soul and in your heart for you to be able to go into these hoods with love, with no judgment, and be able to talk to them. And Narnike has seen me do it. Jen done seen me do it. I got receipts all the way back from 2014, so this is nothing new for me. But it's deep, because I feel like this, if it took me this long for me to really understand politics and the games and the foolery behind it, the problem is this, ladies. When you go into these streets, you feel me? And you talk about, oh yeah, we're gonna vote for this person and this is what we're gonna do, and then they vote and people ain't held accountable. You feel me? Because we don't hold people accountable, like you done dropped the ball again. You wait 3 more years and you want the same exact person to vote again. There is no consistency. There is no change in their life.
Let me tell you something though, Monalisa. So this election cycle had a lot of real cool people in it, right? There were some young candidates that I spoke to. There's Stephen Meza that I spoke to, Elijah Manley that I spoke to.
Oh man, yeah. Shout out to Elijah. That's my boy. I
can't remember Shekinah's last name, out of Miami. She was running against Frederica. I remember when I heard it, I'm like, you might.
I moderated something with her.
She was for it. So these young kids, right? So even the guys, you know, they didn't win their races, but let me tell you something. Yeah. They put those guys on their toes. And one of the guys is a member of Gator Nation. You know, I'm Bobby, cool people. But I'm telling you, I believe because Elijah was in his race, Elijah also made him a better candidate, right? So he was like, yo, these little kids coming for me. There's some things that I probably wasn't thinking about that I got to think about right now. He made him, well, I ain't gonna say he made him, but he ended up giving back some campaign money from some people he took, because he was like, oh shoot, because that was on the wrong side of it. So we're, you know, I know you're in the hood with the young people, but there were some young people this election cycle that listen. So they're doing that work, they're putting it in, and they're holding those guys accountable, and they letting them know that I came for you and I'm like 21 years old and I almost got your job. You keep playing, I'm gonna get it in like 2 years, 4 years, whenever it is that they're gonna run again.
It's not just young people, there were old people that did too.
But Jen, you young girl, you young. I'm sorry. Like,
I'm old enough to be Elijah's mama, so I don't know how young that is, but
yes, it's just beautiful.
You know what, we're young and it's how progressive your mind is. It's what are you thinking is your priority. And there's a reason that the young people are where they are. You know, first of all, they grew up in a whole different age of information. It's an entirely different animal with these kids. Like they don't follow like mainstream thought. They don't follow mainstream media. They don't have that. And so there's this huge generational divide. And the young people, for the most part, represent progress. And it will happen. It's inevitable. We will have Medicare for all. We will have these things. Like, this will happen. It's just a matter of how painful is it going to be between now and then. You know, and that's the problem I have is with a lot of older people that have been sitting in their seats forever and a day, that instead of mentoring these young people and passing the baton, they just sit in their seat. And you have people like Alcy, like Frederica, quite honestly, that should be mentoring young people to come and take those jobs. It's not meant to be a lifetime deal. It's not a career. And that's a huge problem. And that, by the way, spans both all racial, gender, ethnic. That is a,
Democrat,
when people
Republican,
have
all of
power,
that.
when people have power, they hold it for themselves. And it's, you know, it's unfortunate. And there's those of us that really understand how we need to be passing this on. We need to be training these kids to be able to manage this shit, and we're not doing that. We're just not doing that.
And the kids are like, okay, you don't want to do it. We coming for it anyway, right? They're coming to get it. They're coming to get it. Like,
and they should. And I generally support them doing that. But they also recognize that they do need allies that are older, a little bit more seasoned, and a little bit more capable of sort of navigating through the process. And that's really what I look at, like my role has been in all of this, has been sort of like being an advisor, you know, whether it's to the Sunrise Movement or, you know, any of these kids organizations. I feel like it's my job to mentor them and to show them this is how we need to do this. And it's really the only way we're going to do this is to bring them with us, right? So that's what we need to be working on, is getting to these kids.
yeah.
And another thing I want to say is we really have to start understanding that there are different types of people, meaning, you know, you got the people in the streets, you got the working people, you got the political cliques, you got like, and everything is real and alive. Like, I get really bothered when, you know, people are like, oh, well, you know, but this is being done. I get it, but this whole section still actually exists, right? This section exists and this section exists. I think that many people, particularly in this political world, want to kind of like be like, oh, well, yeah, you know that. Oh, yeah, well, you know, no. Like, I'm a human being. I know a whole bunch of human beings who are in desperate need, and we cannot continue to be like, oh, well, you know, that's not really, oh, well, you know, because that's what happens. It's like when people are like, oh, well, you know, some women do this and some women do that, or some men do this, some men do that. That is the real truth. Like, I have spoken in court and I had to tell the judge, like, do you know that there's two types of America? Straight up. Like, the other side of the tracks, you know, the one with hello, where everybody's getting raped, murdered, molested, whatever the case may be. Like, we over here on this side, we exist, but they profit off of that. So we don't want to be bothered with y'all. But then you want to come in our stuff and we want your vote. We ain't getting played no more. You feel me? It's like a so it's like, if we going to educate, let's get people out to vote. But we gotta do it.
You need tangibles. Tangibles.
We can't do it how people from the outside say come in. Nah, we need party buses. Our people like to party, kick it, and drink. You want to get people on the polls? Get them party buses, get them to drink, and deal with they shit. You feel me? Deal with how they go.
Drink after they vote. Like, we can't be getting up drunk and going there, and they can't bubble in the lines now.
You ain't gonna get some will, but you put a party bus and see everybody hop. We voting.
You have the party bus.
Now.
You have to get on the party bus after they vote. You vote, you get to get on the party bus.
Party for the purpose. You know, we could definitely party.
See, y'all missing the point. Like, they're not concerned about voting. You got to give them incentives to go vote, and then once you grab them, you educate them.
Absolutely.
It's way backwards than what what most people think. It's backwards. It's
Right.
You got to come in, you got to give, educate, help them understand. They trust you. Now you feel me? It's not, oh yeah, come vote and then you can get on a party bus. What?
No, and that was another thing that I've also, like, while I'm talking to all these down ballot candidates, we have a lot of these cities that have an east side and a west side, right? And they just look real different, right? You go to the east, you be like, what? Don't the commission handle money that's supposed to deal with the whole city? So like, why look like this and the other side look like that, right? So I'm like, well, y'all, and I'm talking to them like, you've had an opportunity to go talk to the people. What is it that the people want? And I had a couple that was hemming and hawing, because my job is not to put people on the spot. I just want people to the voters to be informed. And some of them, they were like, well, I'm like, okay. So I was like, I'm sure folks will go see through that, right? Because, they go in because I always ask them, like, what motivated you to run? So they tell me what their agenda is. And I'm like, well, how does that reconcile with what the people that you've been talking to have said? Like, what do they want, right? And sometimes it's on the same page. And then another time it's like they're surprised by that question. I'm like, how are you surprised by that question? Because if you out here talking to the people telling you what they want them to do, and you saying you there to represent the people, then you need to be trying to incorporate what they talking about. You might
they have an agenda. They have their own agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually based on, and this is the thing at the local level in terms of what really hurts communities, is the gentrification and overdevelopment, and whose pockets are getting lined on which commissions, by which developers that are screwing which vulnerable communities.
Yeah.
So, and this brings us back to why the local races are so important and why our commissioners matter. Because the commissioners that are going to be taking money from developers are going to let them overdevelop. They're going to let them get rid of what's affordable housing and put in unaffordable housing. And they're also going to let them trash the ecology and the environment.
Exactly.
And you better believe that
and all kinds of crazy stuff.
It's going to happen first and foremost in our Black and brown communities.
Yeah.
So that's just how it's going to go. It's like environmental.
So the question becomes, Jen, I don't mean to cut you. Why does it always happen in our Black and brown communities first?
Okay.
Why do you think, Mona? Why do you think, Sandra? Why do you think?
I know why it happened.
I know why.
Community first. And that's where we're talking. That's where I'm gravitating towards Mona. Why it's important, and the things that she's saying that we have to really be key on is because we need to go into those communities and say, hey, not only give them incentives, but say, hey, you see your city,
right?
Why it looked the way that it looked. This is because of these people right here.
Yes.
Not the president of the United States, not the governor of Florida, but these people right here.
Voted to allow them to to rezone this area, zone it commercial.
Those county commissions or those city commissions, they bank on people not coming to their meetings. They bank on you not looking at the agenda. They bank on you not talking to them about anything.
Yes.
They bank on that. They like, oh, those people, they don't ever come. So we're gonna just do this.
It's not that they don't come. They don't tell them where it is, and because listen, I live in Miramar West. They've been trying to build a Walmart somewhere on Miramar Parkway for the longest. I think since the time I moved here, they've been trying to do. People like, hell no. It's not gonna happen. It's gonna be too much traffic, and they still haven't built that freaking Walmart. And they've been trying to do that. I think since I moved into this neighborhood.
When people get together, and do that, it will work. When people get together and protest those things, it does work.
It works. I've seen it. I'm like, that's why I consider myself this guinea pig of oh my God, no voting, and then understanding the political process, understanding commissioners, understanding voting. Even the speed bump on your street has to do with some voting, right?
Yes.
So now it's I can really be look, listen to me, man. I was part of this, and this is for real, but it can't be just me. And I was just out there Saturday doing the same thing. I'm gonna do it tomorrow. You feel me? And it may take my whole entire lifetime, but people ain't really jumping on the bandwagon. People ain't jumping in to do this work. You feel me? They're gonna spend their thousands of dollars and on their signs and all. We gotta put in that consistent education on voting, even after elections. As soon as November's done, January 20, everybody enjoy your holiday. January 2021, we need to be Voter education every month, every day.
Every month, because 22 people gonna be voting. We need to let them know early. Like, we can't wait till the last minute. This conversation is instead of 39 days before the election, because the people really need to know about who it is they're voting for and how important all of this is. And we were talking about the areas, like my mom lives in Miami, and I'm telling you, people are losing their houses left and right because they're raising the taxes, they can't afford it. They're making all these decisions because they zoned and created some crazy business that made all the values go up. The people can't pay their houses. They don't realize if you don't pay your taxes, they can sell your house to some person for some ridiculous amount of money, and there you go. I mean, and I've seen that happen in several neighborhoods. Like, again, my mom lives in Little Haiti. Now they got they're doing all this redevelopment. They got Art Hood. They got this. They got all of these.
You know why? Do you know why?
Mm-hmm.
Little Haiti is very, very good in terms of its sea level. It's very high above sea level.
Absolutely. It is close to everything. You get to the airport in 10 minutes from my mother's house. You get to downtown, and you got 6 different ways to get downtown from my mother's house.
No, but it's very high above sea level in that they have least amount of flooding issues. And the powers that be and the developers have realized that, wait a minute, these poor Black people are sitting on a gold mine of property that we could overdevelop. How can we gentrify this fast enough and get them out of here?
Get them out of there.
And that's what's happening. And that is your city commission at work. That is absolutely how that happens.
Absolutely.
So the theme is, the theme of all is that your city commissions, the people who affect your everyday life, go on, their seats are up for election either every 2 or 4 years. I'm not sure which ones.
We need to flood the commission meetings with people. We need to start promoting commission meetings to regular people, almost like be the bullhorn, because they're not putting it out there. Yeah. Now, a lot of commission meetings are kind of pointless and stupid, and it's more fun to watch paint dry. But sometimes there's important stuff on agendas, and we need to be flooding these places with the people that's how they get away with it.
So we flood the places, but we got to get the right people in the seats too, because some of them, they be like, oh yeah, they making noise. Just like that, the bill about the guns in school, the teachers having guns. So the first year they tried to pass that, people were there making noise, and then they was like, damn, we can't do it, it's too hot. The next year they slipped it in because nobody was over there making noise, right?
Consistency, we have no consistency. So
you gotta be there making that noise if you don't want things to happen.
Like some of the stuff that I come up, man, I'm about solutions. Like my talking days is over. Narnike called me and I told her straight up, sis, because it's you. I don't like to talk about anything anymore. Straight up, man, I'm exhausted. Real talk. One of the things that I was talking to people about was okay, look, it's obvious that many people can't go to commission meetings, right? Let's grab 2 people from the community, maybe an elder and a younger person. Everybody come out $10 and pay them to go to the commission meetings and have them take notes. Mm-hmm. Everyone as soon as you start talking about $5, $10, $20, people be like, what? They don't understand the importance. It is obvious that most working people can't go to commission meetings. Absolutely. All this stuff is set up. They do the stuff, working hours, 9. You got to sit there for 8 hours. Please, let's be realistic. In our communities, who is going to sit there? Let's be realistic for 5-7 hours when they got to go to work. See, we got to come up with solutions to help people economically so they can do what we need them to do. All that volunteer, man, it's we're not going to get anything done until we are consistent, strategic, and then we got to really appoint people. Listen, you're going to go to Fort Lauderdale Commission meeting. You're going to go to this meeting. You're going to report back.
Yes.
I give you stipends. You don't pay somebody bill right there, dog. We
and you know what?
That light bill real though.
What she's saying makes a whole lot of sense. And let me tell you something. One of the things I'm on some kind of human rights group or whatever in one of these Democratic clubs or whatever, and they have. So one of the things, one of the presidents of the Democratic Club stated was that she was very upset that after all this stuff, the Democratic Club did not come out, it's Democratic of Broward, did not come out and say anything about Black Lives Matter. So she pushed and pushed and pushed, made them do something, and now she created this human rights group, right? So now what she's done is she's took it a step further. Her name is Calibra, I can't remember her last name, but she's the Miramar president of the Democratic Club, right? She took the next step by pushing the Democratic Club for all of Broward, all the little clubs, send out a mass email saying, hey, we need somebody, point person to go to the commission's meeting. We need to make sure, because she's trying to put a resolution together for the Black Lives Matter. So whether they have a resolution or they don't, this is our resolution, and whatever is not on their resolution need to be put on our resolution. But it was something that she was galvanizing the group. So to your point, Monalisa, most Black people identify as Democrats, right? The statistic shows that about 70% consider themselves Democrats, okay? And if you put it in the great scheme of things, we make up 47 million out of the 320 something million people in this country. So 70% is like 22 million people, okay? And so how I did to bring the perspective is that you have this group of people, and let's be honest, we make or break an election, period. That is not up for discussion. That ain't up for debate. Bottom line, Black people can make or break an election if we galvanize the right way, okay? And so to bring this to perspective, you have a party that is supposed to be the quote unquote representation of Black people. You start putting pressure on them. Not to take away from our consistency with our people, but they're not there yet, right? So can we all agree that they're not there?
Who's not there yet? Who not there? Who not where?
The people we're talking about.
Okay.
There's a lot of people, there's people that are not there yet as it relates.
They're not there yet. Some of them they're not there yet. And they need someone to talk on their behalf, right? And to get them the education that they need to bring them where they need to be, right? So you put pressure on the one thing that we rely on, blindly sometimes, but that's what it is, right? And so while we have the Monalisas of the world who are going into the hood and trying to educate and doing her best.
No, she's educating. She's not trying. She's doing it. She's doing it.
She's educating. You're absolutely right. Thank you for the clarification, Sandra. She's educating those people. There's not many of her, right? However, there's a little bit more of us who deals with the Democratic clubs directly, who deal with the legislators directly, many times emailing and calling, who, go to these commission meetings and raise hell. There's more of us, right? Well, not more of us, but there is some of us.
There's a lot of us. We could be doing more. We need to do it. It's a lot of us.
Period.
It's a whole bunch of clubs. Like,
right? Even go so the strategy is a plan of attack. We have the Monalisas of the world and we have the other ones of the world, and we need to put pressure. So I personally feel like we need to put pressure on the Democratic Party, because that's who we identify with, right? So I can work that out on my own. I could do that, and I can galvanize a couple of people to get that done, right? And the Monalisas of the world still need us to come into those cities and into those communities to push in that education. So the goal is to do that. That's the plan of action. I'm with you, Monalisa. I'm tired of talking too. I don't got time to be sitting there figuring this out or whatever. Our babies are dying, our husbands are dying, our children are dying, and I'm fed up. I'm just frustrated. So that is the plan of action, and that's what we need to do to get that together. Right. And we need to figure out how we're going to build that.
We're going to do that. So they've already, I don't mean to cut you off, I'm sorry, but we're like an hour in, and we have like another thing. We got a couple of things we got to talk about.
It's a couple of things.
No, so listen. So Jen and Monalisa have already given us some action steps that we need to do, right? We got to start going to these commission meetings. We got to start holding people accountable. When there's a meeting happening, she gonna let us know, and we're gonna start raising some money to get somebody to go and make it worth their while, right? That light bill, cable bill, whatever it is, that phone bill, that metro bill. So we're gonna do that. That's what we're gonna start doing. So whenever the meetings are happening, let us know. We're gonna get up on everybody who know that I am not too proud to beg for a good cause. Now we learned that the hard way. She almost stopped talking to me because I was raising some money a couple of weeks ago. And she's like, I should have just told you no. But she said it in a worse way. But so I'm too proud to beg for nothing. So we're going to do that. That's one of the action steps we're going to do. But what we got to do right now, starting during early voting, some people want to vote by mail, but if you're going to vote by mail, send that ballot out right away so you can track it to make sure it counts. And if when early voting started, if that thing ain't counted, you need to take your butt to one of these early voting sites, vote, because when they do decide to process that vote by mail ballot, they'll see that you voted already, and they just gonna throw it away. Okay, so we're gonna early vote. You're gonna wear your mask. They're gonna give you a pen. I brought my own pen, and I brought my alcohol wipes. So wear your mask. bring your own pen, bring your own alcohol wipe, social distance, and vote in person. And I'm gonna tell you why it's important that we vote during early voting, right? I'm gonna tell you why it's important. The reason why it's important is because those votes are being tabulated, right? And the Democratic Party, Republican Party, they can track how many people have voted, where they're voted, and what areas, right? And so they can, if people vote early, then they can see where they need to put their resources on election day or like as the time go on. So if we don't convert it early, then on election day, they're gonna be sending people all over the place, and they might be sending people in places that they don't need to send anyone, right? So we need to vote early because they can track to see who voted. So on election day, they're gonna be like, okay, listen, we need to go into Lauderdale Lakes, or some community in Homestead or something. So we need people to vote early so those numbers are already in, so they can decide where they gotta put in those resources so we can get the people. Because we have the numbers. I think Broward County have the numbers to just carry damn near the whole state. At least South Florida does.
When you're going and canvassing, and it says, oh, this person has already voted.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So we need to vote early so that information is already out there, so the Democratic Party can say, like, okay, we need to focus. We need to get somebody in this community to get the people out to vote. And I have to tell you, like, with the Biden campaign, they got somebody that's dealing with students, with Jewish people, Haitian people, Latin people, Caribbean people. I mean, they're really making an effort. But again, I don't want people to only be focused on a presidential election. That's extremely important. But I need y'all to vote for these commissioners, these city council members,
state attorney.
Definitely state attorney, Harold Pryor, state attorney, Broward County. Harold Pryor, state attorney, Broward County. You need y'all to do that. And we ain't gonna talk about the sheriff, because we divided on the sheriff, so we ain't gonna talk about that. But I'm gonna just say Harold Pryor, state attorney, because that's important. When I tell you that's important, because we saw what happened in Kentucky with a foolish AG and a foolish state attorney. So we need to make sure you got the right person in place that has a progressive agenda and that's going to do the right thing for the people that tend to be part of that system. And
I think Narnike wants to say something about the sheriff.
No, I need to make these points. Don't get it twisted. There's black and brown people here, because what we really got to start talking about, we got to talk about these seats that we got, these blue seats that we got to keep, and the red seats that we can flip, because we cannot have the Republicans have a super majority in Tallahassee for a bunch of reasons, because they're going to be redistricting. Remember, this is a census year, 2020 census.gov. Fill out your census. Those numbers are important.
Got it until the 31st. Y'all need to get it in.
So it was supposed to end on Wednesday. But then they've got an extended, there was an injunction, so it's at least until October 31st right now.
Sure, for the state of Florida, because I saw that in California. No. There's an injunction. It's extended until October 31st, so it's not ending on Wednesday. But that don't mean that you need to wait till then. We still need y'all to do that now. But just so you know, y'all president made it try to do it for the 30th. Just so y'all know.
Yeah, so just get it done. Okay, and so go ahead and make your point. And we need to start talking about these.
Ain't got no point. Get to your thing, girl. Get to the people. Get to the people.
Okay, so this is the thing. So Breonna Taylor brought us to this space, and then the governor really got us to this place where we had to have a conversation. And I'm gonna let Jen explain the legal part of this nonsense, right? So the homeboy had I called him homeboy. So Mr.
Homeboy had a rally with police officers. He had a whole police rally. That's what he had. Jennifer.
And it was so funny. One of the
our esteemed governor.
One of the things he said when he did this was like, we can't have a few making a decision for the many. And I'm like, that sounds like what you doing right now though, but okay, right? So Jen is gonna talk about what it is that he's trying to do, and I'm gonna tell y'all what we're gonna talk about, what we can do to stop this.
So our esteemed governor, he's a piece of work. And the only reason that really, we have a very low bar here. We had Voldemort prior to this, so our bar is very low. But he just decided to come forward and say that he's proposing legislation that's essentially going to eliminate our First Amendment rights of assembly and to protest. And so what he's proposing is highly unconstitutional, and it has things in it such as people who run over protesters will not be prosecuted, and all it takes is to be affiliated with a protest that's deemed unruly or whatever it is. So essentially, any protest that I've been to where it was totally peaceful, Black Lives Matter protest, everything's fine. So then the next day or later that night, when some other, people that are up to no good are trying to make it look bad for everybody. So then all of us who peacefully participated would be subjected to criminal liability based on being affiliated with a protest that was deemed unruly. So essentially, this is hugely unconstitutional. It's a violation of our First Amendment rights. But it's something that is seemingly he's going to try to push forward in our Florida legislature. You know, look, Florida is the only state in the nation where a man can legally marry his mother. So don't put it past us to be the state wherein this kind of nonsense. She's laughing, but I'm serious as can be.
I know you're serious.
I am serious as a heart attack. And so if any state is going to come up with ridiculously backwards thinking and unconstitutional legislation, it could be Florida. Mm-hmm. So we need to at least do the best we can to head this off. And part of that has to do with our legislature and turning some of our red state seats to blue seats. Okay. And everyone who knows me knows I'm not a huge proponent of the red-blue dichotomy, but in this particular case in our state legislature, this actually really matters because these legislators will toe the party line. And we need more blue people to be standing up against this and other sorts. I mean, this is not the only issue, by the way, but this is one huge, I mean, it's really laughable. And he stood there and had this press conference like this was already the law. Mm-hmm. Like, this is me and my police buddies.
Can I tell you, like I told you, Jen, there was a few people who reached out to me and said, oh, you know, I'm so happy that the governor made this legislation. I'm like, you do realize that that was a proposed legislation. No, but that's what's going to happen. I said, no. Just because he said it, don't make it real.
It's not the law. So that's the key thing that people need to know. It is not the law. It's a proposal. And again, it's a proposal that could easily become a law.
But do you see how people don't understand?
Yeah.
I'm trying to let people understand that people don't understand.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? I was just thinking, do you remember Schoolhouse Rock when we were kids? Like the Schoolhouse Rock? We kind of need some stuff like that to kind of explain this kind of process, because the mere fact that there's people that really don't understand the difference between a legislative branch of government and an executive branch of government and what those differences are. So anybody who would know this would know that the governor doesn't get to make laws. That's just not how it works.
Right, but then he made it look good, right? Because he had the Speaker of the House there, the President of the Senate there, right? So he made it look like, you know, these legislators.
Because if he can get enough people to believe it, then it really doesn't matter if it becomes a law, because people are going to be abiding by it and forfeiting their constitutional rights out of fear that this is a legitimate thing. So that's part of it. I mean, that is a big part of it.
Okay.
And if we keep it, if we allow it, we all gonna be slaves up in this country.
And I'm telling you, and what we need to do, right? Yeah, because we can't have this happen. Because when I tell you so many consequences of that, you know, we were talking about voting and young people not wanting to vote. You know, and matter of fact, Desmond Meade, right? That's last name Meade. He was trying to get a pardon a few days ago, right? And the governor said no, right? Which is okay. So, and part of that is like, once you become a felon in Florida, you lose your right to vote forever, right? Forever. And people,
up until Amendment 4, you did.
Until so Amendment 4, until Amendment 4. But what I'm saying is that you're a felon forever, and they take away your right to vote. And what people don't understand is like, it's so easy to be a felon, right? You grand theft, $300, you're a felon. You and your boyfriend, girlfriend get into an argument, you take their phone, they call the police on you, you got like a felony domestic and
you can be a felon for writing a bad check.
Yeah, writing a bad check depending on the amount. So it's easy to become a felon.
As a matter of fact, Ms. Just to correct you, so the threshold last year went up from 300 to 750.
But that's still an iPhone. That's still a phone.
It's not a lot. It's not a lot.
My phone costs $1,100. I mean, it's like, I don't know how.
That's a cell phone, right? 750. I said, because the original proposal was 1,500. 750. I said, still, so you still gonna go? You mess around, steal a phone? Phone be $10,000.
They have no problem raising that, but the minimum wage is just too elusive. Yeah, can't seem to raise that number.
Right.
$15? Oh my God! What are you talking about? $15? Are you serious?
But the $15, there is an amendment that's going to be on the ballot about
Amendment 2,
right? And then I think they wanted to be $15, but it's all the way like in 2026.
It's the best option we have ever had offered. And that's the sad truth. And we have a very red legislature. And that is one of those things. It is what it is. This is like what you're saying. We have to fight on all fronts. There's within the party, there's outside of the party, there's local, there's state. It all has to happen at the same time. And unfortunately, our state sucks. It just does. And so this is what we're dealing with. But we need to shout out yes on two and no on everything else. It's generally right? Like,
and see, that's why we need all these different women here, because Monalisa checked me on that $750. I haven't been doing criminal defense work in a long time. It was $300 when I used to do it. It's $750.
It's $750. Yeah, and you know, it wasn't checking. It was like making sure, you feel me, so people know. Like,
no, it's important.
It's important. Yeah,
I know, like in in Illinois, Kim Fox, she raised it to $1,000. She was like, we ain't prosecuting no theft charges unless the value's over $1,000, because you had all these people that was in all this trouble over some nonsense. So those are progressive prosecutors. So $750 is good, but it's still a phone, y'all.
It's still a phone. I be telling, and this is what I tell moms and kids, the youth that I mentor. Like, when y'all hit 18, you mess around, grab a phone, bro, you going to prison. Like, you gonna get in trouble. You gonna go like, we gotta get like. And another thing, we cannot raise another generation of non-voters.
Right.
That's the thing. It's the kids. It's the kids. I'm not saying that we shouldn't educate older people. We should. But I think that you have to sort of triage this, and you have to prioritize the younger people, because some of the older people are too far gone. They just are. Yeah. They just are. Whatever.
They fell in for over $300. They can't vote.
They still think there's phone booths too.
Clothes or something. I don't know.
Listen, let's segue. Let's segue into. You're gonna finish your point, Sandra, but I want to segue into these seats, because I just got a shout out from one of these congresswomen that's running, and she's gonna be
so let's talk about these seats. So Jen explained what this man is trying to do, right? He explained what this man is trying to do, right? And if we don't keep the blue seats that we can keep, and we don't flip the other seats, we gonna have a whole bunch of problems, y'all. Okay, so we have Cindy Polo. She's in House District 103. Her number is 103, Cindy Polo. We need to keep that seat, that number one priority, Cindy Polo. Then we have Dolores Hogan Johnson. She's in the 772 area code. Where that's at? Like
that's Port St. Lucie.
Port St. Lucie area. So Dolores Hogan Johnson, she needs to keep her seat blue. Then we have Geraldine F. Thompson. She's in the Orlando area. We need to keep her seat. We need to keep that seat blue. Then we have Joy Goff Marcel, also in the 407. We need to keep that seat blue. And then we have Jean Pierre Botto. That person is so his seat, I think the person that originally had his seat is running for a Senate seat, who is Javier Fernandez. He's running for a Senate seat. We need to make sure he wins. And we also have Patricia Sigmund that's running for a Senate seat in Florida. We need to make sure she wins. So we have Cindy Polo 103, Jean Pierre Bardo 114, Dolores Hogan Johnson 84, Geraldine Thompson District 44, and we have Joy Goff Marcel, that's also District 30, right? And can
you post these, like, Sandra?
I'm going to post all of them.
Okay.
We have another person in Miami, Francesca Sesti Brown. She's out of Miami. That's District 115. I'm in 105. That's Maureen Portas. She's running in District 105. That covers like Collier County, parts of Broward. It goes to Doral, and it's crazy. That's the redistricting stuff. So we need to keep 105. Not keep that, because that seat is open. The person who had that seat is running for a Senate seat against Javier Fernandez. So we need to vote for Maureen Portas in 105. We have in Palm Beach, there's a James Bonfiglio. I think so we need to make sure that person is there. We have, who else did they tell me to talk about? There's a Patrick Javon Henry. He's in the 386. I don't know what area code that is. The 386. That sounds like near Daytona, some area like that. Like that.
386. That's a little north, yeah.
Then we have
That sound like it's
813 is Tampa. We have Pasha Baker in Tampa, so we can get that seat blue.
How many of these are seats that we can flip? Like how many of these, what will be our net gain? Like what's our potential net gain?
Okay, so if we get the 2 Senate seats, it's going to be 19 to 21, so they'll still have it. But what we're trying to do in the House is to not let them have a super majority, because if they have a super majority, it's a wrap, right? You know, it's like a legit wrap, so we can't have that. So so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's 13 seats. There's actually more on this list, but there are 13 seats that we need to keep. I told you the ones we had to keep, and the other ones we can flip, right? Those are they're extremely flippable. And I have them, and then some of them need money, right? So we also need people to like donate to their campaign. I'm gonna post all of their names and their websites on the page, and I gotta try to figure out another way for you guys to get this, but I wanted y'all to get the names. So we need to worry about, I'm gonna shout out the districts now. Pay attention to the districts. District 26, District 30, District 44, we have 20, actually, I'm gonna start again. District 28, District 26, District 30, District 44, District 60, District 64, District 69, District 84, District 89, District 103, District 105, District 114, District 115, and there's another one in Miami, District 110. That's Annette Collazo, right? So those are seats that we can get. So 5 of them we need to keep. The other ones we have a strong way of flipping, but those people need a little bit of money, right? There's a little bit of money. One of the ones I talked about, that Patrick Javon Henry, he actually had that seat before, ended up losing it by a small vote. He has a really good chance of getting it back, so we need to get them back. And if this happens, right, if we vote for these people and we send them, you know, we got to send them money or volunteer, reach out to their campaigns, we need to do this, right? I'm going to post this. We need to do this. So we don't have a governor thinking that he can trick people into passing some unconstitutional law. And I talked about my Jamaican friends. They always talk about prevention is better than cure. Prevention is better than cure. So we need to, like, we don't want to let this happen and then try to deal with it. We need to stop this from happening, right? We need to stop this from happening. And the way to do that is to keep the blue seats we have and flip the other ones that are flippable, and they're all flippable. And right now we can't take over the red seats, but we can definitely stop them from getting a supermajority, and that's the action plan that we have right now. And I think we're gonna have to do this again, ladies, closer to the election, and keep reminding people about their voting for their commissioners, making sure that the right people are in place, and keeping these seats blue and flipping these seats blue. We need to do this again and really let the people know. Okay, so go ahead, Jen. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say that I have my regular Monday night live stream, and I'm going to be having on a bunch of commission candidates. And since I'm not an official Dem club, I get to pick and choose who I have on, and the people that I give a platform to are gonna be the people that aren't being given a platform by the establishment. So those people, they have their own platform, so they should go on there. So I will be promoting the candidates that are most likely to be open to progress, that are not going to be beholden to the establishment and the party machine or any of it. And so I'm
gonna give you a person, and I know her personally because we've been on a forum together. So her name is Christine Alexandra Olivo. She is Haitian.
You do know that that's my Fab Four running mate. Like, you know that I know Christine. She and I have known each other for a while.
Well, yeah, Sandra, I know your Facebook kind of thing. She's running against Frederica, child.
Okay.
She's running as a no party, and I support her, and it is what it is.
I love her.
I'm not gonna talk about Frederica. I mean,
I'm just saying.
I'm not gonna say nothing.
All
I'm saying is
that brother right now, Amari Hardy, shoot, like, that's the bomb right there. He done cussed everybody.
I'm simply talking, Narnike, about our local commission races.
Okay. I just wanted to give my girl a shout out because I love her. And
Christine Olivo, I love you too.
I love her very much, and I wanted to give her a shout out, even though she's running against the name escapes me. But Christine Olivier is somebody you need to remember.
She's running against Frederica Wilson, and she's running as a no party.
Yeah,
and
no party affiliation. Just to give my girl a shout out. Love you, Christine. All right, so those numbers that you talked, the letters that you numbers, the seats that you talked about, 5 of them we have to retain.
We have to keep Cindy Polo, Jean Pierre Bado, Dolores Hogan Johnson, Geraldine Thompson, Joy Goff Marcel, and Linda Thompson Gonzalez, which is 93. She's also running. We need to support her too. We need to support her. Make sure she's also running, so she needs support. And then we have people outside of our area, like I said, Patrick Javon Henry, District 26, Pasha Baker, District 28. I said Geraldine already. Julie Jenkins. That's
it's a whole state.
It's a whole state issue.
It's a whole state.
We need a whole education on the whole state issue, because, oh Lord, this is overwhelming.
You know, so the conversation was spirited today. I thought we were actually going to spend more time talking about this, but the things that we did talk about was important because we are letting the people know how important it is for the down ballot candidates, right? Those commission seats, those city council seats, and
your state attorney seats, your public defender seats.
Yes.
So the state, some of the commission seats, that's how they decide who the mayor and the vice mayor of those cities will be. And it depends on who gets the most amount of votes, right? So that's why all of those votes matter, right? So we gotta vote for those commission seats. The mayor, state attorney, Harold Pryor, state attorney. I'm just saying it again. Harold Pryor for state attorney. And then we have Joe Scott. He's running for a supervisor of elections. So we're supporting Joe Scott for the supervisor of election seat. I can't get into the school board because there's 2 different people in that race. They're both, I can't get into that.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Why you can't get into it?
I can't say nothing about it.
Because they both.
Say something about it, they can, but
because it's basically a primary still.
Yeah, but yes, you can. Yes, you can. We gonna vote. We gonna vote the other. We gonna vote for us. I'm voting my agenda. Listen. Let's be honest. We being frank, right? That's what the flyer said. I'm gonna be honest. I'm voting Jeff Holness. It is what it is. Yes, I am.
That is the school board at large seat, Group 9.
And it's a nonpartisan seat, right? There is no party on there or whatever. But I'm voting my interest, and that's another thing that people need to understand. You need to vote your interest, which means whoever's on the ballot, you need to figure out how you look them up and find out where their ideology falls. If it's something with you, if it's closer to what you're doing, and if you believe they believe in what you believe in, then that's who you need to go with. You don't go with everybody because everybody's voting for that one person. That's not how.
Always pay attention to people's agendas, right? Like why they want these seats, right? Because you need to make sure their agenda aligns with your agenda, right? Because like I said, I've been talking to a whole bunch of folks, and they start talking about why they doing it. I'm like, but what did the people say when you were talking to them, right? So
most of them, I'm sorry,
they
but
don't listen.
Most of them is political career chasers. That's what we call them. I need to make a shirt. Political career chasers. That's all y'all's about. You feel me?
That's it. It's true.
Political career, like, trust me, I know a lot of them. Because that's the thing, though. And I know I'm being a little challenging or whatever, but I'm speaking for there's a whole slew, right?
And we need to know that that's out there. We need to know that that's out there, and that's how people feel, and we have to figure out how to deal with that, right?
Like for example, how you have a whole full-fledged event on Sis Trump, and ain't no community members from Sis Trump in the event right across the street. Like, they don't get invited. It's so much that I know because I just be watching. I be like, oh, okay, so, all right, so you in they hood, but ain't nobody from the hood in they hood.
And Sis-Trunk is one of those gentrified areas because I remember Sis-Trunk, and Sis-Trunk today don't look like Sis-Trunk.
Exactly. Let me tell you, I used to be a probation officer in Sis-Trunk, so I know exactly. Listen, it's completely, you know what I mean? Like, I just wish that we would become more open-minded and open our hearts to really accept and receive what is out in our community. You feel me? There's a lot of trauma and a lot of issues that we as people need to address. And sometimes when you quote unquote leave the hood or the blah, 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 you forget. You feel me? And you start judging and you start doing this and that. Like, if we really want a collective change, not for us, but for our children and our great grandchildren, bro, like, deal with your demons and start really owning your block. You feel me? Like, start really focusing. Don't judge the little girl. Don't judge the little boy. Go offer him something to eat. Give him a glass of water. You'll be surprised. Most of our children are starving. They hungry on a regular basis. They give you an attitude. You want to judge them. But you don't want to say, hey, son, hey, young lady, are you all right? Is there something going on with you today? You feel me? And they live in your corner on your block. That, like, we got to really, it is deeper than voting. You feel me? We got to really unite. Narnike was talking about that. Like, we got to unite because we heading to that school, to that prison pipeline. I see it. I see it. It's right there, right in front of us. Our children.
We all we got though.
And we got to make sure we can't vote in people that's okay with that, right? That's what it, because we see it, but the power is in the vote, because there's some people that's like, they all about that, because Broward County is notorious for sending juveniles, to adult court and sending that nonsense has to stop. Broward County is notorious. They're like, oh, you 16, you fully understand what it is that you were doing. Go to prison with some 40-year-olds and people that sentenced to 50 years. So we got to be careful who you vote. Harold Pryor, state attorney, because
Sandra, this is a good thing. Before the election, like I said, I do think you should have Harold on and/or invite Sheriff Tony and ask them their response to this proposed legislation and how they would carry it out. Because the reality is, if that were to get passed, because our legislature is crazy, let's say it gets passed, but we have a state attorney that doesn't prosecute those cases, then they're not going to keep arresting them, right? Like, so there's a certain amount of home rule that is in play with that kind of legislation.
But I think doesn't that legislation also talks about penalizing those departments that don't follow this legislation? There's a penalize. Like, they're penalizing, for instance, if Harold wins, the state attorney, and if he doesn't follow suit, he gets penalized for that.
So we need to give them. It's a good
thing to have them on to have this discussion.
That's what I'm saying. Let them speak out against it. Let the people in Tallahassee hear from their local leadership, their local state attorneys, their local sheriffs, that we don't support this legislation. It has a lot more power coming from them than it might from a handful of people in whatever neighborhood.
And it's going to be more than a handful of people, because, there's an election in 2022, right? And, I think Desantis is up in 2022. One of our, I think Rubio is up in 2022, and, a lot of these, those House of Senate seats, they're 2 years, they're up in 2022. We got to let them know, like, oh, y'all finna vote for this foolishness in March 2021? All right, we got you, we see you, and we're coming for you. And that's exactly what's going to happen.
But that's the kind of conversation we can have locally with our local people and see what their thoughts are on it. They might not have control over it, but I'd rather have the state attorney that finds that to be unconstitutional than one that thinks it's a great idea.
See, but this is the thing though. It cannot pass under no circumstances. Let me explain why. Because let's say, even if it did pass and the state attorneys choose not to prosecute, quote unquote, but that's giving these white
people,
folks, like, I'm finna run all this mob over and I know that I ain't finna get charged.
Exactly. We can't let that happen. We can't get in that.
We can't let that happen, because now they really gonna come kill us, and then when they try to kill us and we shoot back, then we going to jail. Our black men and our black women gonna get in trouble. So we gotta vote. We gotta
keep the blue seats flipping so this can't happen. And then we need to let the red seats know, y'all be foolish and support this. There will be consequences, and the consequences is gonna be quick, right? It's gonna be real quick.
Swift.
Yeah. Quickness. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. Like this. So everybody out there watching, I know it's exhausting. You feel me? But we gotta breathe and keep going, and let's just educate. We may not see the change in our lifetime, but like,
we're gonna see it. We're gonna see it in our lifetime. We're tired, but you know how the devil works.
Keep that into me, man.
The devil works. We gonna see it. The devil works overtime when you're almost there, right? So the devil is gonna start working harder, and we're gonna be like, "Yo, devil, get back. We ready, right?" I'm not taking y'all to church. I'm just letting you know, like, when you're there, that's when it's harder. But I don't look like I ran a marathon, but I ran a marathon in 2005. I don't look it, but I did a marathon in 2005. And let me tell you, I got to mile 22 Mind you, it's 26.2 miles. I got to mile 22 and I wanted to quit. Mind you, I done did 22 miles. It's 4 more to go. And by the time you get to 22, you could finish, right? It's all in your head at this point. Like you can
Real spill.
I saw this lady and she was like, nah. She was like, you at mile 22, right?
Right.
So we need to think that we're at mile 22. We got 4 more miles to go, 4.2 miles to go, and we're gonna finish this. Like seriously, I like really don't look like I did a marathon, but I did San Diego in 2005. And I'm telling you, it's in our minds. Like our body's gonna do this, right? We gotta keep our head in this game and we gotta do this, right? Because this is what we need to do. We can't, this is not a situation where we could sit back and let this happen. Like, I understand the unconstitutionality and all that, but I don't want to get there. Like, we need to be
right. Bump all that. Yeah, I feel you.
DeSantis, you do this, you're losing your seat in 2022. He need to lose it anyway, but he definitely, if he does this nonsense, bruh, your job is done in 2022. Ain't nobody playing.
And Jennifer Perelman's favorite word, he is being insubordinate.
He is insubordinate. He is completely insubordinate.
You work for us, okay? You're being insubordinate.
For all of the people in Florida, not just the ones that don't want to wear masks, right? You work for everybody.
Everybody. You're being insubordinate, and so now you do not get a second term, bruh. You don't.
We can't afford that.
But you know what? We also need to be thinking about what we're going to do to provide a better alternative. And that's something that, quite honestly, is where the Dems sometimes seem to fall a little short. Mm-hmm. And that happens at every level. And so we should be already talking about who is that going to be, all right? And I don't care, whoever that is, but if they're not inspiring, if they're not going to rally people and get enthusiasm, they will not win. And that is something that we have to really understand. It matters who you put up. Just because somebody sucks isn't sufficient to beat them. Mm-hmm. People need to be inspired to come out and vote.
Yes.
And they do that when you hand them a better alternative. And that's what we need to be about. We need to be more about, this is the better alternative than, oh, look, he's the problem. And that's where a lot of people are getting very caught up in the blame and who's this and it's their fault and they did this and whatever. Okay. Even if we could all agree on one person who's to blame, let's talk about what we're going to offer now as the better alternative.
Solutions.
It's solutions. And I think that that's something where the Dems have been lacking. And when you start talking about DeSantis' seat, it's something we're going to have to really address. Mm-hmm. It really is.
And we need to start educating January 2021. So we got a whole year and a half, 2 years to.
We need to start now.
Yeah. You know what? We're thinking of it like between now and November 3rd, we are all about right now pushing the down ballots. And the reason we're pushing the down ballots is because if you get people to come out and vote for those seats, they're going to vote for the presidential. Absolutely. They're going to vote for the presidential. It's on the ballot. It's the first thing they're voting for. So it makes more sense to promote the down ballots than to promote the presidential. And the presidential is not inspiring to a lot of people right now.
So how about this too? We need a terminology education on politics, down ballots and political immunity and what? Okay,
what is it called? Qualified immunity.
Qualified immunity and what? And down ballot and left, right,
you know what we should do? Mo, we need to write a book where you translate all of this into like street speak.
Listen, we all code switch, Jen. We all code switch. Like my goal today was to like keep my ebonics in check and not to curse. Okay. Like,
we saw in the thing. Ain't no. Let me tell you, they be like
goal today.
So how would you say, Mo? How would you tell people if you get rid of qualified immunity, you can take their money? Like that's like, what's the best translation for what?
I gotta think on that one because it took me a second. I'm like, qualified immunity. Good God. Let me go look that up.
But it's true, and that's the problem, and that's why a lot of people don't realize what we need to do to deal with the police issues. It's not retraining. That ship sailed. I'm sorry. All the bias training in the world is just not helping at this point. It's just inherently rotten. You need to hit them in their wallet.
Right.
And that's really what it comes down to. When they know that the money's coming out of their pension and not taxpayer dollars, when they screw up, they might act a little bit more.
They're gonna think twice before pulling that trigger, because it's
Yes,
like
they are.
my whole family. It's my whole.
That's the thing. Look, I'd love for people to be reasoned with on moral grounds. I'd love that. I'd love for people just to grasp this concept, right? But apparently they don't. And so what we need to do is sort of like with little children with sticks and carrots, you need to train these people that if you do good things, you will get a job. If you do bad things, you will lose all your money.
Yeah.
It's really, it's not complicated once we have paid corporate tools out of representing us.
Okay. And let me tell you, that whole like them about to lose their money, I know some people that retired in the last couple of months after George Floyd happened. You know, some of those police departments, they had to go check on some junk that was happening. Like, you know, some cops, they have these reputations and they were ignoring them. And then George Floyd happened and they were like, we need to go check to see who had complaints and what of those complaints were about. And I personally know some people that retired in the last few months because they were like, all right, so we about to start this investigation.
Well,
And if it comes out, you know, you're gonna lose all of this. So what you want to do, right? So sometimes that's good. That's important too, because at least that person's gone, right? Because like you're not training that person needs to be gone.
The more people that understand this, the better. And I have this idea in my head of when we talk about like national registries, I mean, you have like a sex offender registry. We need to have the bad cop registry.
Absolutely.
Say that. You better say that. You better say that.
Have the bad cop registry.
Why not?
Any municipal law enforcement that wants any sort of federal money cannot have anybody on their payroll that's from that list, right?
That's right.
And that's, again, it's not getting them on moral grounds. There are probably going to be tons of little municipal law enforcement agencies that still don't give a shit about racism and they don't care, but they don't want to forfeit their federal grant. So if that's how you have to get people to comply.
There you go.
And so she started talking about federal money, right? So so now we got to be careful. We got to be conscious of who's in the feds, right? Because we got a criminal enterprise running the government right now. Like, you know, like
you better speak it. It's a criminal enterprise.
Straight criminal enterprise. So
yes,
it is. That administration,
yes, it is.
They're still giving them people money.
Yes,
They might give them extra if they out here.
Crime boss.
So that's
it's really the whole system. Right?
Yes, it's the whole system.
It's the whole system.
You
our representative,
you giving these jobs to.
Right. So my representative takes an inordinate amount of money from the military-industrial complex and the fossil fuel industry and basically very nefarious police benevolent association, all those things. So there's no incentive to deprofitize criminal justice. Like these people have no interest in that. Their friends are making money off of every
billions.
person.
It's a billions of dollar industry. It's just out of control.
But I'm telling you, but people have a voice. So because some of the Ivy Leagues, right? You know how these big endowment schools, they have money invested in all kind of stuff, right? And I'm gonna call out Columbia. I think it was Columbia. That's the one I can remember. Like one of the students found out that they were invested in a stock with one of the it's not Geo Group, it's the other correctional one. I think it's CRC or one of them.
It's like C something Corp.
C something, right? So the students were like, y'all making money off this? Like, what are you talking about? And they put pressure on the school to be like, okay, and I don't know if whatever the investment was or whatever, they got rid of that because they was like, you can't be educating people and doing all of this stuff and you're making money off people that owns private prisons. And so so that voice, you know how they talk about the squeaky door gets the oil? We gotta be that squeaky door and we get oil and you can get things done. And sometimes it may seem small, but I'm telling you, you get things, you get things done. And the work that Monalisa's doing, she might not know how much impact that she's having on these kids every day, but you're having it. I have a friend of mine, like I met him like in 2004, and I met his kids, little kids, right? And the son is actually in school in Miami now, right? And then I was like, how he decided on Miami? He said he remembered that time when he came to your house and, we're doing this. And mind you, this is like 2004. And I didn't even realize that this kid had like remembered me, that I would still be such an impact in his life, to the point where he's in school here. So I'm telling you, you're doing that work. Those kids aren't telling you right now, like, the contributions that you're making, but you're dropping in stuff and you're making a contribution. You're having an influence and you're having an impact on their life, right? That's why all that representation matters. They need to see you, and they need to see you. Because when I heard that, I was like, he still remembers. Like, no, he remembers you, and he just wanted to get back to Miami to see you. And he's like, oh, he wants to come to your house. And I was like, but I met him like probably 3 times, and that was it. But you know, you're making that kind of impact, right? And I'm gonna say one thing, and then we're gonna close out. So how we were talking about representation matter, I was talking to Narnike ahead of time, and one of the reasons, because we have a lot of sisters and a lot of women that are running, right? And it's now because part of it was the barrier of entry. It used to be really expensive to run. Now it's all these kind of ways to get money so they can do that. And then also they're seeing more people doing it, right? So like a lot of people, they just didn't think they could do it. And I was telling her how, like, I did career day at school one time, and I came in and and the student was like, well, what job you have? And I was like, I was a lawyer. And I am a lawyer, but I used to have really long dreadlocks, right? So I come in the room, and then, you know, I'm about to talk to these kids, and they're like, what you do, right? What you do? I was like, I'm a lawyer. They're like, what? You a lawyer? How you a lawyer? I'm like, well, I went to college, I went to law school, and I got a law degree. I passed the Florida bar, and now I practice. But when I tell you,
I am a lawyer.
Like they never saw anybody that looked like me that's a lawyer, right? Because they see the lawyers on TV, and they usually don't look like me, right? They don't look like this dark-skinned girl with long dreads, and I didn't have a suit on, right? I like resisted the suit, right? I resisted the suits. I just have some regular clothes, came in there, and you know, and that kind of stuff, that representation matters, right? They need to see you in the community, Monalisa, because a lot of times, you know, we get our degrees, we go move into these other neighborhoods, and we don't go back, and they don't see any of the success stories that come out of neighborhoods. I'm not saying you came out of a neighborhood like that. I grew up in Little Haiti. I go back to my mama's house all the time. Like, all those kids know me, right? I don't live there because I done got robbed in front of her house. So I'm like, yo, I can't live here. Like, I legit got robbed in front of my mother's house. So I don't live there, but I still go back, right? I still go back.
Legit, Lord, yeah, I feel you.
Oh, but you know what? It's great. It's important for us to be honest about this, right? Yes. And it's important for us to be very frank and truthful and transparent, because people look to us to relate, right? And so you want to be able to be relatable, and especially to the people in the hood, because you know what? The people in the hood are the most ignored and disrespected group of people. And they are the backbone, the real foundation of a community, really and truly. And people tend to
really are.
They ignore. They are the backbone. They are the foundation of a community, and people continuously ignore them. And that's why work like the work that Monalisa does, the work that A1 does. A1 is one of Monalisa's partners, Aaron Hollis, and the work that Jennifer does when she's collaborating with everybody and trying to do that. Teresa Williams does the same thing. It's so important because those people, they see it, they understand it, and the most important thing that we need to, and that Haitian people are almost like this too. And Monalisa and Jennifer, I just want you to understand, because Sandra knows, because we're Haitian. We need people to be consistent with us in order for us to trust you, right? And same thing when it comes down to the hood. You need to be consistent, and you need to show up. You can't just show up whenever. You got to be consistent. Come over and time again.
It's like right? They're kids. It's almost like when I go and I mentor the incarcerated youth, right? So they come in every some of them 6 to 9 months. So I get a slew of new kids pretty much consistently. But I've been going there for so long, and it's like let me tell you one thing, like if I miss one day, I'm getting questioned. These kids be like, but Miss Monalisa, where you was at? Like, you ain't come in last week. What happened? Like, they look for me. They're like, but where's she at? Wait a minute. And then I be like, I already told you, I'm gonna let y'all know once we start. And I give them the whole slew of why I missed a day. And they're like, oh, okay. And then consistency is key. And it just,
and I
don't know, that's just what it is.
And that's one of the things that I feel like the Democratic Party lacks. They lack consistency. There's always something that they jump onto because it's hot, and they think that they can gain momentum.
They don't think of it as service, Narnike. Yeah. They don't treat public service as service. And that's ultimately what it is. It's a political career game for them. It's really like a color war game. It isn't about serving your community. And that's what I feel like I'm trying to do, is sort of bridge that into actual community work, like get to where the paradigm of politics and the Dem Party is service oriented. Like, what are you doing to serve your community? What are you doing to be a voice for your community? And that is something that is very lacking politically. And so it's like, I feel like we can try to bridge that in some way. Speaking of which, Monalisa, you should promote tomorrow's event for donation.
Please do. I told her that when she came on here. So Monalisa, what are you doing tomorrow for the babies?
I'm making pancakes. So I'm making pancakes. So basically pre-COVID, we were serving, like, we did a whole slew outside. And since COVID came in, I chose to figure out a way to do it safely. So what we're doing is we found someone in Hollandale that's willing to open up their doors. And I'm going in with my electric griddle, not the big grill and the propane, can't do that. And I'm just pretty much putting everything together. You feel me? Everything is gonna be in like individual, you know, the little condiments and these nice, cute plates, sustainable living, climate friendly, right? So
I have to tell people that when Monalisa does something, she does something. Like,
right.
There's nothing like left out. Like, it is the most detailed, like, it's so, I'm excited to see what you're putting together tomorrow. You're gonna have to tell me where I'm meeting you. I know that there's sprinkles involved for me.
Last time she made fresh squeezed apples.
I get to decorate the pancakes.
You don't get to decorate. You just get to hand out the little sprinkles. Because COVID, child, we're trying to protect
I'm decorating my own pancakes.
Oh yeah, definitely. So thank you, Jennifer and Narnike and Sandra for allowing me to do this. And Jennifer, yes. Okay, so this is the reason why I'm so detailed. We must put love in the work that we do. Sometimes, you know, when you provide service, whatever, and you just throw stuff, you feel me? So people don't receive that well, whether they subconsciously or consciously understand that. Like, you treating our people like wolves. You feel me? Where's the decoration? Where's the neatness? Where's the, like, if you're serving, serve with love. People tend to, when you treat them in a more, you know, higher and more, you put more love and effort, they remember that. And when they see you, and I'm speaking from experience, like, they rock with you, they asking you questions. Like, me and A1 got all the kids in the hood, like, run after us. When y'all doing your next event? And we like, babies, listen, we done lost so-and-so, we done been through this, just give us some time. And they're like, yeah, but you know, when? Y'all taking too long. When's the next event? Like, what's going on? When y'all coming out? They be chasing me down the street with my car. Like, I'm driving, and I'm like, y'all need to stop. But it's like, they know we there. They see it. And you can't just, listen, I don't like when people just feed people to feed people, okay? Would you do that in your house? Don't you set up the plates and the settings and stuff like that? Don't you make it look all pretty? Oh, but then, you know, you getting all this money from all this stuff, and yet you don't want to serve the people. So we have to start. We talk Black excellence and customer service, bruh. We got to give Black excellence. You feel me? We got to provide it from every detail. They know. I don't even play, man. Them napkins better be the right space, the right location, the right color, because we ain't having it. Black excellence with intention in everything that we do, and that's what it is. I ain't rushing nothing. I ain't slopping, throwing anything down. Nothing.
This is why I love you so. This is why, like,
it starts with us. It starts with
us. You feel me? And then people wonder,
what's your Cash App? Hello, talk about your Cash App.
Oh, my Cash App.
They can donate.
Can I say something, Miss Sandra? Thank you so much. Like, I be so passionate, I forget to promote myself. Listen, we are sponsoring a child at $5. They're going to get 3 pancakes, 3 ounces of fresh fruit, a banana, apple juice, and sprinkles and syrup and all that good stuff, right? No Capri Suns, none of that. We doing apple juice. We're doing, like, that's what we're doing for our people. You know what I mean? Straight up. And that's what it is.
So everybody send money, send your money, sponsor a child, sponsor multiple children, and send it to Monalisa's nonprofit, Cash App.
What's the Cash App?
Cash App, community work, or what is the other one? Yes, and I'm kind of old. I'm behind in time.
It's
got $ community work, and then PayPal Monalisa@probationsstation.com. And you know, I got to get the Venmos and the Apple Pays, so I'm working on that. We're updating, revamping the website. Yeah, so my nonprofit is actually prevention, not detention.
That's
what it is.
What you
So
said.
everybody sponsor kids tomorrow for pancakes. Normally we would be like, come on out, have fun at the pancakes.
I know.
Come serve pancakes. But we can't do that because we need to be socially distant and safe. So we really need Cash App donations, and that'll help serve as many kids as we can possibly reach.
Because we're going to be like, good morning.
We're doing pancake delivery.
Yeah, and I went already and they handed out, I spoke to the OG from the neighborhood. You know, you always got that beautiful OG grandma. Gave her the flyers, she hitting the hoods, and that's what we're doing.
We're all doing that work. So she's going, and then when you're dropping off them pancakes, we want you to tell those people to make sure they register to vote, that they vote blue, they vote early, right? And if they got to wait till November 3rd to vote November 3rd, but we need them to vote, right? So I need you to, I'm gonna send you some money. I'm gonna send you some money, not to pay people to vote, for you to feed the kids, but you know, we're gonna do this double work, right? Like, we're gonna be effective and efficient, right? Because people were talking about, like, y'all on here just running game, talking all this stuff. Y'all ain't got no action plan, no action steps. We got action steps, right? One of the action steps we're gonna do when you're dropping off that food, we're gonna tell people that, listen, you know, y'all want to, you know, we need you to vote blue because we're trying to protect these kids. We're trying to protect us. We're trying to protect everybody. So we need you to vote. We're going to give you this food, but we need you to vote too. Tell them, like, they're not registered.
They need to fill out their census if they haven't done it. They need to fill out their census.
Tell them to fill out the census. Okay.
Yeah, that is really important, Monalisa, for us to promote that for sure.
Yeah, promote the census. It's literally 10 minutes, 10 questions on the phone. They can do it real quick. 2020census.gov, I think it is.
I just added it to the thing.
Yep, promote.
Yeah, that is really important for getting money to the communities. That actually is
money in the community. We need the money in the community, and then we need to have people. The 5th, October 5th, is the last day to register to vote. So I'm not sure if we could. Well, it's too late now because it's tomorrow.
Too late for what? Too late for what?
To give out applications for registering people to vote, but it's too late. It's too late to do that right now.
No, I mean, can they do it? Yeah, so but we don't tell them.
Fine. I would just
find a way to do it.
The things I thought about was just gearing them to the online, so they can register online.
Yeah.
Social distancing, no contact. So that was like one of my goals. But yeah, and for those that are watching that are talking about we may not have action plans or whatever the case may be, I will always throw it back at you. What are you doing?
Okay. So we got action plans.
I'm doing what Mo tells me to do. That's what I do. I do what Mo tells me to do, and then that's how I know.
What you doing?
And this is the other thing. Like, we can't be telling people that they're not doing anything because everybody have their own lanes, right? We ain't got to do what you do, right? Like, I don't have to do what you do. I'm doing what I do. Everybody has their lane.
Everybody got their lane.
Everybody got their lane. So, and all of it ain't got to be in nobody's face. Like, we might be the people that's doing stuff in the sidelines. You don't know how much stuff I contribute to. You don't know what I'm doing. So don't be telling me I ain't doing that because I'm not in your face doing it, right? Everybody got their lane. People choose who they and what they want to advocate for, and we got to be respectful of that, right? You know, you might be that person that kid could come and talk to that they telling you stuff they can't tell their mama. You're making a contribution, so don't be judging people on how they, you know, putting in this work and contributing to this society. You don't know all that. So mind your business and don't be judging folks because they don't got to do what you do. You want to go out there in the front line. Like, I wasn't going to no marches. I'm scared of that Rona. I ain't lying. But I do a whole bunch of stuff sitting in my seat right here, right? So
yes,
don't
you
do.
Everyone, like, what I want to say is everyone is needed.
Everyone's needed. Everybody got a contribution.
And if we all hop on 95 and stay in our lanes, we will get to our destination safely.
You
feel me? Like,
don't be trying to go too fast, too slow, because you
feel me? Or doing this right here, look, going into everybody else's lane because you can't figure out what you want, but you in the way. So get out the way so I can drive, right? And get to that final destination of liberation. Like, yeah. And we don't even want to talk about the stuff that I do behind the scenes with criminal justice. Like that's just
they can't tell. They don't know what you do.
So
Okay?
that's why we need to do this again. So we need to have another.
Like, we've been talking for over 2 hours.
Yeah, I gotta go, y'all.
Listen, we got people that's been in and out of here for the last 2 hours. So
we need to do this with beverages. We need to do this. We need to do a happy hour with beverages.
Yes. Let's do a sip and talk. We're gonna do a sip and talk.
In 2 hours in, my speech gonna be slurred. Okay.
Listen, I gotta finish my 90-day challenge. I can't drink enough.
When are you done with that?
In the middle of November, after I use your
We can't forget you then. Get your bottle of water.
Maybe make her a Bloody Mary.
I can have a virgin Bloody Mary. Lord.
Virgins, no.
Yes, it has tomato juice in it.
Mona Lisa, Christine just sponsored 5 children.
Oh, thank you.
Holy row. She's the bomb.
And she the bomb.com. My donation. Sandra's gonna go doing her donation. See how community works.
Yeah, look, that's why it's called community work.
Y'all, we doing it for the kids, but them candidates need some money because we need them.
They do. And Christine came to one of my first meet and greets. I had met her online, never met her in person. We had communicated a little bit. I knew that we were like kindred spirits. And I was at a meet and greet, and this woman in the back raises her hand to ask a question. And as she's talking, I realized that she looks familiar. I don't know. And I'm like, are you Christine? And she's like, yes. And then like we ran across the room. It was like meeting your long lost pen pal. And I was like so happy to meet her. And I love her. And she has come
Christine, I got it. Thank you.
She has come out canvassing with me. She coordinated, she's the bomb. So yay, Christine.
So let's wrap up. I just want to thank you all so very much, especially you, Mona Lisa, because Mona Lisa don't do this often.
No.
And I have to beg and scrounge, and she was like, "I'll just do it for you." So I thank you, Mona Lisa, for coming, because it's important that people know that people in the hood has representation too, and they are the backbones, the foundation of a community, and I want to make sure that that's on there. Jennifer, thank you so much for your wise and
I learned so much from her.
Diplomatic information.
I learned so much from you guys. Honestly, the best thing that has happened to me from running, and I've told this to Mona Lisa before, but really she is the most prized thing that has come into my life from this whole campaign.
Awesome. That's awesome.
And really not just you particularly, but what you bring, like this whole sort of this world that I feel like now I can be comfortable being in. And it's been the best privilege ever. And I feel very honored.
I can say the same exact thing, and I can also say a lot for Sandra, because Sandra has really opened my eyes to a lot of things and helped me to think more critically. I guess it's because that's that lawyer brain that she has. Jennifer does that too. And kind of see
that's that University of Chicago right there. That's that undergrad. That's that University of Chicago.
You went to Chicago undergrad?
Yes.
Huh? Who went there?
Me. I went to University of Chicago undergrad.
Nice. See, now that's impressive, my friend. That is very impressive. Woo!
Listen, we need to hang out. We need to hang out and get to know each other. I was talking to Ruby today. Shout out to Ruby Green.
Green. Love you, Ruby.
And I was like, yo, we gotta kind of like kick it and hang out and get to know each other.
We need to invite Ruby to our happy hour.
Yeah. That'll be dope.
Well, Sandra won't venture out, although we have to drag her kicking and screaming. But I think we should do like a beach day, right? That way we can social distance and still have conversations and bring pen and paper. And we
got that fresh air from the ocean.
There you go. You'll do the beach, Sandra?
I'll do the beach.
Yeah.
Oh, Miss Susie said me too. You can come, Miss Susie.
And we love you. Social distancing. Listen, y'all, I love y'all, but I gotta go.
All right, bye guys.
Out there. Peace
so thank you everybody for coming. We put in the chat like the seats that we can flip. Well, for Broward County Harold Price, State Attorney, Joe Scott for Supervisor of Election. Who else y'all want to shout out, right? So
Stephanie Anderson, District 2.
Hollywood.
Hollywood.
103, Maureen Porras, she's in my area, 105. We need y'all to support her. And then we have Linda Thompson Gonzalez, she's District 93. right? Then we have like some people in Miami, Annette Colasso, 110. Then we got Jen Perelman, 114. So we need y'all to contribute to that campaign.
And Christine is what? What's Christine, 24?
24.
24, Christine Olivier, District 24. We're just shouting y'all out.
Oh, she's in Miami. She's in Miami.
She's in Miami.
In Miami. Okay. So Christine, District 24. All right. So thank you, ladies, for spending the time to talk to me. Like we literally was doing this for like 2 hours. Thank you so much. We have to do it again. We got to keep all the blue seats, flip those flippable red seats, and then we got to start strategizing because somebody got to go in 2022, and we got to start putting people in position. We got to start putting people in position. Monalisa's going to let us know about those commission meetings, and Jen's going to let us know. I live in one of the coolest cities in Broward County. I'm in Miramar. Our people are good around here, right?
Whatever.
Sandra, I gotta introduce you to Tom C. He's like a young like mover and shaker.
Okay.
Miramar, like
okay. All right. So we got
some one of them. Yeah.
But yes, we definitely gotta people if y'all ain't getting nothing else out of this, you gotta pay attention to the down ballot candidates. Your commission council seats are important. Your mayor seats, who you have as your state attorney, because if the governor and the fools are managed to get this nonsense passed in 2021, we need state attorneys and sheriff people who are not going to let this go forward, right? So it's important. You got to be engaged. You got to register to vote. And with the voting, we're telling people to vote early. Do early voting so that people have voted. So if on November 3rd, the Democrats can be real strategic in where they got to put people to encourage folks to vote. Okay. So
don't forget the census. Don't forget the census.
And the census, 2020 census.gov. Fill it out. It was supposed to be due on Wednesday. I think we got a little bit of an extension, but we need y'all to do it because that's how they decide how much money they're going to send to the communities, how many representatives you get to send to DC, how they did, all of that, how they're going to redistrict, all that. Fill out the census.
Love you, ladies.
Bye, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Yeah, I'll hit you up with all the info.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bye.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.